I want you to go ahead and take a look down there at the bottom of this chart. This chart of spiritual and numerological values of the planets. I want you to take a look at Mercury and how it represents traveling, writing, and promoting, and to understand that tonight is the first time it has gone into retrograde in this decade. And not to be at all concerned about it. Everyone talks about Mercury retrograde as this fear-inducing, anxiety-inducing factor. So we're going to kind of demystify it, and in the same light, talk about the energy of the day. So Mercury, it represents number 5, but before we get into the numerology of how it represents number 5 and what that means, let's talk about how close it is to the sun and what's going on with the planet itself. It's the smallest planet. And by the way, I've got my facts right, okay? I'm just going to say this. Got a comment today about my video on how 45% of Mexico's territory was annexed to the United States for $10 million. And someone watching got about 2 minutes in and said, you know, I heard William say that the largest border between two countries is Mexico and the United States. And that's a lie. So, you know, why should I bother watching the rest when I know that Canada is the largest border? And the way he's saying it is true. And so I want to elaborate before we even dive in here and just say, what I intended to get across in this video is that Mexico and the United States have the largest border that requires attention. In other words, when's the last time that you've seen a news reel that says troubles at the border and people are thinking about Canada and the United States? Is never going to happen. It'll only happen unless we go into dystopic America. I'm talking an EMP or some crazy cataclysmic, catastrophic, calamitous event occurs. And at which point in time, people are going to go to where there's the most free land and resources. Towards the north, because it's going to be nice and tropical, okay? Until that happens, until that science fiction movie happens, when people talk about border issues in North America, they're talking about largely the United States and Mexico. Can we not agree? It's the largest territory frontier that is contested in terms of there being immigration issues. And that's what I wanted to have portrayed and come across in my message. And it seems like it wasn't translated well because we had somebody who stopped watching it at 2 minutes and started complaining. So yeah, the largest border between two countries is Canada and the United States. Do you think people care about immigration there? No. It's easy peasy. Because for anyone to be able to get to Canada from the United States, they got to have their shit together. There's a lot more problems going on the border between Mexico and the United States. I think we can unanimously agree and move on with our lives, including me right now. Okay, let's talk about Mercury. It's in retrograde right now. Do you know what that means? It means that your computer is going to start doing stuff like maximum overdrive. If you've ever seen that film or read that book by Stephen King, where it's going to start swearing at you. Not really. Be cognizant of where your belongings are. It's likely that you'll misplace them more during this time. It's also likely that you'll have communication breakdowns, i.e., the way that you were communicating before won't be as smooth. It's kind of like me right now, tripping over my words a little bit, skipping around. The script that I normally conjure in my mind isn't arriving as smoothly as I had hoped. But you got to get that stuff out of your mind, because Mercury is simply here to enhance your own thoughts. That's the truth. And so it's deeply connected to communication and self-expression, self-promotion, writing, and commerce, marketing, the promotion of self, traveling, writing, and promoting. That's what you see there at the bottom. So you have to be cognizant of the mind. Right now, we're in a waning moon. And if we're talking about planets that are influenced by the moon, it's the moon and Mercury. These two are deeply affected by moon cycles. So if you're feeling a little weird today, you're feeling like the energy may be off, you're feeling like, wow, this should be a full moon today, I'm going to tell you what you're working with Kabbalistically. Let's just dive right in here. You're working with Mercury in retrograde. And you know what? The music, I realized it didn't queue up for the Mercury card. So here's what we're going to do. We're going to hear the music stop. I'm going to cue it up as fast as humanly possible because it's Mercury retrograde and this happens. And we're all going to be happy that it's been resolved and that we can move on. So give me 10 seconds without music, 10 to 15, and without microphone, and we're diving in. All right, we got microphone. We need music. So here we go. This is part of it. What do? When life throws you lemons, you make lemonade. And here comes the music. See that? Isn't everyone happy now? They hear that beautiful tickling of the piano? And it's as if our life is complete again. That's Mercury retrograde. It's going to throw this at you, and you're going to decide whether or not you're going to fix it or give up. Okay, don't give up. That's why you're here. That's why you're here to learn. That's why we work together. Mercury is the planet of communication, commerce, and travel. The journey begins here. I'm going to explain this to you in a moment. Take this time to effectively promote your projects and goals. See the world. Okay, so when we're talking about this is where the journey begins, you see here on this spiritual and numerological values of the planets, go on down to the habitable zone, that third ring from the bottom, and you'll see Earth. Number 108, the portal. Oh yeah, I'm not talking about Portal the video game, which is quite fantastic and very funny. Especially Portal 2, very, very fun. We're talking about the real portal. This is the place where you are going to enter in to your own journey, this narrow path that goes straight up. We're talking the Kundalini rising path. Look up Kundalini Rising if you haven't checked it out yet. It's going to give you some insights. The Earth is a portal where you begin your journey. Okay? Now, the good thing is, with Mercury here for today's energy, it's going to give you some guidance as to what the road is and what you need to take. And when it's in retrograde, it seems like it appears as if this planet is moving in reverse. But that's not the case. I'm going to explain to you why. The only two landlocked masses, or orbit-locked masses that we even pay attention to, are the Moon and Mercury. So what is an orbit lock? An orbit lock is when there's a landmass that does not spin. And as a result, because the Earth is supposedly spinning, even though flat earthers would argue not, we are looking at, with Mercury, during specific times of year, because it is an orbit lock, it appears as if it is moving in reverse based on how the solar system is navigating. So that is to say, the planet is not spinning. So you know what that means? One side of Mercury is extremely hot. And the other side, still hot, but not as hot as the side that's facing the sun. And when we look at the moon, we got the dark side of the moon that we're never going to see. And that's where all the alien activity is going on. And on the other side that we see, that's where it looks like cheese. Okay? That explains to you the orbit lock. So Mercury retrograde appears to be moving in reverse right now because it is in orbit lock and the Earth is moving in a specific way. And those folks over at NASA can explain it better than I can, folks. So why don't you go check it out if you doubt me. But know at least I'm saying what I'm completely sure about, because I certainly don't want to be called out anymore. Because there's obviously some people that care more about the border activity between Canada and the United States than Mexico and the United States. Boo-hoo. Okay. Let's go into Mercury. You see what's going on here? This beautiful card by George Sellis, illustrated by George Sellis. E pluribus unum, Mercurio felici. Happy Mercury. The celebration of commerce and the ability to sell oneself, to be able to market one's words so that they are believed and absorbed. Mercury is going to F up right now. In retrograde, it's not going to be as effective. Your communication is going to have issues. It's going to blip and have hiccups. So what do? Maybe take some time for reflection. Remember when we were talking about the February promo, this month of love, ruled by Venus and Saturn? I did explain to people, it's got Venus supporting Saturn, but it's not the best time to be thinking, okay, this is when I'm going to make the move to bring in and really solidify this person being in my life that's going to be my life partner. You're likely going to meet this person. You are likely going to be involved in the process of attracting them. Though as far as it goes with really solidifying the affirmation and, going as far as getting married or engaged, I would really wait until spring is here. I would wait until March 21st, 22nd to really make that happen. But if you're in a bind and you're feeling pressure from the significant other to get this rolling, or baby's in the oven, baby's in the bun's in the oven, rather, baby's coming. That sounded terrible. Bun's in the oven. Then you just gotta shotgun it. Well, so be it. You do what you gotta do. But as far as starting a relationship, really making the affirmation and saying, okay, everything's going to happen right now during this month of February, I would be hesitant. I don't normally say this to people. And some people are going to say, forget it, man. This is the month where I'm going to make it all happen. This could even be me saying it to me. All I know is that if that's the case, if you decide that you're going to go for it and you're going to create this soul between the two of you, that you're going to make love. Because when you make love from the Kabbalistic perspective, sometimes it can even include just having a first kiss, like this kiss that you see. But if you're making love, you're definitely creating this link between the two of you that starts the cycle of the year, okay? So if you're starting it during the Saturn period, it will likely bring some consequences that are difficult to deal with. I.e., especially now with Mercury in retrograde, you're not sure how to communicate. You're not sure what the other person is necessarily thinking. Everyone's a bit fuzzy, not really sure how to get it out right, but you're doing your best. Notice how that's not the best time to be getting married. That's just my perspective. So I would wait until the spring, have a little time to allow this seed to germinate, there's nothing wrong with waiting. Have you ever tried? I know we live in immediate gratification land, but have you ever tried? Or let me ask you this instead. Think about your most fulfilling relationships in the past. Did they come when you had sex immediately? Like a one-night stand led to the love of your life? How frequently does that happen? Not frequently. If you take the care and you put in the time and you put in the effort, and then you make this mutual decision, it's this build-up. This is the old way of courtship and love. People really got to know each other over time. Sometimes they had to do that because that's all they had was time. You know, with arranged marriages and that horrible scenario, not a horrible scenario, honestly, arranged marriages, there are many of them that are very successful. They're not based in romanticism. So people in Western world will usually reject it because it's not based in romanticism. But that doesn't mean it's bad. It doesn't mean that it's not going to work. You know, in fact, people who are placed into a situation of an arranged marriage or relationship or a setup, you know, you're hooked up by somebody. It's because two people are looking, or you have one person that's looking at two people and say, wow, I really think they'll match. And Alain de Botton will talk about how it's better for these two people to be the right kind of crazy. In other words, the familiarity of the craziness that they carry around and their family carries around needs to kind of match with this person that they're looking to bring into their life. That takes time to figure it out. You might get those immediate crushes or the information that comes in that makes you believe that it's good, but when you take time and allow it to really disseminate, and I'm saying this to myself too, being a person who likes to rush into love, I would argue even loves to rush into love. But I can also tell you, with the women that I've been with that have been most satisfying to be sharing a relationship with, they've really made me wait. And I'm saying made me wait because I've been impatient and pressuring and done all that. And I would say it's really not the right way to go. I mean, not unless you got a lot of stuff going for you that's going to be attractive to a woman. Starting to pressure her to move into this level of intimacy is not the right move. Even if she's comfortable with it, still not the right move. Allow this seed to germinate and work on this communication here. We're looking at Mercury. This gives you the chance to really explore communication with your significant other or the potential significant other. You know, can you hold a conversation with them? Can you hold a conversation with them? I mean, can you say thanks when they say something good to you? You know, what are you thinking when you're having a conversation with this person? Are you thinking, oh, shit, I don't know if I can deal with this, but I'm going to because it's new love? Or are you thinking, wow, this really clicks. Finally, somebody who's going to talk about these subjects and not be afraid, or be able to, or they're saying it in the same way that I think. That's awesome. That's a great thing. And if it happens during Mercury retrograde, it's a sign that, wow, you got some really good potential here. That's the beauty of Mercury retrograde. When things work, it's a big sign that you're like, okay, this is a green light. Because otherwise, everything else that used to work really isn't working in its optimal state. But if something stands out as like, wow, this is really awesome, during Mercury retrograde, when the universe is going through its Saturn cycle, then it's telling you this. If this is the worst that it gets, man, I'm in. I'm ready and invested. So think about that. Mercury retrograde gives you that beautiful opportunity. Okay, we've talked enough. I think we've discussed what we need to discuss. Number 5, when it pops up, just remember that is Mercury energy. And we're looking here at Mercury, the god, which is Hermes. And Hermes is very interesting, an androgynous being. When you look at the snake, the red snake, the blue snake, this is Ida and Pingala. You look at the wings in the background. Look at how the colors have shifted. We're looking at a balance here. You see the balance of energy? It's the balancing of the masculine and feminine energies. And Mercury is bringing this balance or this dichotomy, depending on where the moon is and where the planet is, to the situations that it's invited to. And today, Mercury has been invited into the day, because numerologically, that's where it lands. So as Mercury is invited into the day, with Mercury retrograde and the moon waning, we're talking about perhaps some challenges with communication, perhaps some challenges with our electronic devices, things not working optimally as we would expect them to be. Perhaps we're losing some items or misplacing them, or almost dropping our wallet, things falling out, not being able to locate that thing that fell in between the seats in the car. These types of situations. Not remembering whether or not you took something with you or left it at home. These types of things, albeit normal, may be happening more frequently as a result of where Mercury currently is in its orbital cycle. First time of 2020 that it's ever happened, first time of this decade, so we're going to get into it. Okay? Now, let's go back and remind ourselves of what other energy we're working with. In this month, we're talking about Saturn. Saturn is going through its universal phase. It represents the harvest, and it is only concerned with replacing fears with love. So just go with the flow, man. What can I say? Go with the flow when your communication doesn't work. Like tonight, I'm not going to stop this because I said something that didn't come out right, that I, made a mistake with. There's no script here. This is just raw and live the way it always is. It's better that way. It's better to put into exercise the raw race of life. This getting out there on the track and just blasting through a few laps and just seeing how things turn out today. I think they turned out pretty well. You can let me know in the comments. And if you like this, please like it. And if you've already subscribed and you think someone will benefit from these affirmations and the reviews of the Kabbalistic energy of the day, well then share it. Help us grow this community into something that's really beautiful, because it will bring us all benefits, I promise you. Okay, I can make that promise. It's a good one. Hope you have a great evening. Hope you're doing well. Stay in touch, leave a comment, and thanks for watching. It's been fun. Don't forget to subscribe, seriously. Don't forget. It'll make me so happy. Have a wonderful evening, everyone. Be well. Don't forget to subscribe. You can do it.
You can do it. Who is your daddy and what does he do?